So I want to welcome everyone to the joint veterans endorsements for Veterans and Politics International, Nevada Democratic Veterans and Military Families Caucus, Nevada Veterans Association, and Armed Forces Chamber PAC. I also just, as a disclaimer, I want to really thank the candidates for coming. I want to also personally thank the moderator because there's a difference between being live. So this is going to be pulled up forever. You whatever mistake you make, this is not going to be forgiven, right? You can't edit it. You can't take it away. My thing, and I'm really care about this, is that the people that are willing to get into the arena to try to help people are the most important people there are. So I really honestly want to thank and commend both of you for being willing to run for office, because it's not a good thing. Because now your personal lives are going to be public for the rest of your lives. So thank you both very much. And now I'll shut up and turn it over to the moderator that is way smarter and more clairvoyant than me.
At least you admit that.
Yeah.
My name is Lisa Guzman. I am a trustee for the Clark County School District, and I am your moderator today. I am not running again, so they asked me to be their moderator, and I'm really excited about that. I want to thank our sponsors, DB Cajun Kitchen, Stephanie Phillips, U.S. Senate candidate, Ava Bravo, Las Vegas Justice of the Peace, Department 2 candidate, Heather Caligari Fleming, Esquire, Levy Schultz, U.S. Congress District 4 candidate, Christian Bishop, Nevada State Senate District candidate. So all interviews for the Nevada State Assembly District 13 through 42 will start precisely at the time given to the candidates and will be confirmed by them if they are late. It is an automatic disqualification for endorsement. So what I'm going to ask you to do is you're going to be given 45 seconds to introduce yourself. I want you to please include why you are running and why you are seeking our endorsement. Okay, so each of you have that. Go ahead, Ava.
Hi, I am Eva Olivia Chase, and I'm a candidate for Nevada State Assembly District 16 for this year. I'm a U.S. Air Force veteran, and I'm also a college graduate. I'm a fully transitioned trans woman, former lieutenant governor candidate for Nevada in 2022, where I got over 7,200 votes in the Democratic primary. The reason I am running, I want to make positive, progressive Democratic change in Nevada, and that's why I'm running.
Beautiful. Thank you. Ben? Go ahead.
Hello, my name is Benjamin Donlon. I'm an independent businessman. I've run and owned mortgage companies and real estate operations for the last 50 years. My family has been in real estate for a little over 100 years here in Louisiana. I'm running because I'm tired of looking the way the government is operating and standing by and complaining about it. We have some foolish conceptions about ourselves and about our elections, and that one of those conceptions is that somebody wins, somebody loses. And we're all Americans, and we're all citizens, and somebody wins 49% or loses 49 to 51, they should be taken into consideration equally as a person that is run. It's not a mandate.
Thank you. All right, we're going to get started with the panel asking you questions. They're going to introduce themselves, obviously, and then you're going to have 45 seconds. Now, you've obviously watched Jim give you the yellow card. The yellow card means that you've hit 30 seconds, essentially, and you have 15 seconds left. Then he's going to give you the red card. What the red card means is that your time is up. Please finish your sentence. Don't stop in the middle of your sentence. We want to hear what you have to say, and then your time will be up. And we look forward to a really enjoyable time. This is not a debate. Please only answer the panelist that asks you the question. If it starts to be a debate, I will stop it because that's not what we're here for. We're here to have a conversation, okay? And then at the end, I'm going to give you an additional 45 seconds for a closing statement. So I hope you enjoy the next part. Jim, we'll start with you.
Well, thank you very much, Lisa. So my fundamental question is, everybody has this confusion. They don't exactly understand what a Nevada State Assembly person does. So can you explain that? What is the role of a Nevada State Assembly person, and why is it important for them to get involved and actually come out to vote for that person? I'll start with you, Ben.
The assembly is really, in every state there's an assembly or the equivalent. There's an assembly on the federal level and there's a senate on the federal level. It's important because if you want to run your government, you must run by laws and by procedures and policy. The vote allows us to determine who's in there in the assembly and who they would represent as their constituents. So if you're complaining about what's going on and sitting and watching your TV, then you're missing the boat, because the legislature, we're fortunate, is a part-time legislation state made of citizens generally, and they should have the best interests of the citizens instead of being professional politicians. So I would urge everybody, like your question said, why is it important? It's important because if you look backwards and look at the laws and you complain about them, you're complaining about your inactivity to decide who you want to represent you and to carry your wishes forward in the assembly.
You get the same question.
Being in the state assembly is a great responsibility. You are the voice of the folks that live in your district, not just for the state of Nevada, but you have a direct impact on what you can do to improve the lives of the people you're representing. Every chance I get, people ask me, why am I running? I want to represent them as individuals. I ask them their name. I ask them the issues that are important to them. And I tell them what I would do to fix it. And sometimes we agree, sometimes we don't. But I want to be the voice of the people in my district to help them have a better life and just make things general better in Nevada. That's why I'm here.
Great. Andre?
I apologize. I've got this sexy voice, and it makes the speakers mess up. But Andre Haynes, Armed Forces Chamber PAC. My question is for both of you, and thank you both for participating today. What measures will you advocate for to address issues of social justice and equity, including racial and gender disparities within the state?
Eva, you want to start, please?
I love this question because being a fully transitioned trans woman, the trans community, yes, there is the equality bill that was passed, I think it was in 2019. However, there is still discrimination against the trans community, the African American community, the Asian Pacific community, and we really have got to get rid of that altogether. We're all human beings, so let's all be human to each other. And I would push for equal treatment for anyone, no matter your creed, your orientation, anything about you at all. We're all deserve to have the same basic rights. When I get to the assembly, I will make sure that applies to everybody, not just a few that are chosen for it. And it's a great responsibility, and I look forward to the challenge to do it.
Thank you. Ben, please.
Thank you for the opportunity to respond to that question. I think we're all, first of all, citizens, we're all human beings, and we all should be treated with equal dignity. Unfortunately, it takes sometimes generations to move forward. I think the country has moved great distances from when we had these problems. They are serious, they still exist, but the only way we can get them resolved is to face them and come up with meaningful solutions, treating people fairly and equitably. Whatever position they maintain, we should not discriminate against them. Be open enough to understand that they are human beings, they have rights, they have feelings, they have the opportunity to arrive in America. And I say arrive, not arrive as a foreign country, but arrive and have all the options that anybody would have, whatever religious choice they have, whatever sexual orientation they have, whatever color or religion they have. They shouldn't be bounded by that, because sometimes we forget we're all U.S. citizens, but residents of the state of Nevada. We have an opportunity to help the residents of Nevada because of states' rights that many times supersede federal rights. But at the same time, if we're asleep at the switch, we have nobody to blame but ourselves for allowing inequalities to continue. There should be an equal playing field for all people, particularly in sports and other areas. And I think that we're moving in that direction, but we're moving very slowly, and we could do more. And we could do more through legislation. We could do more through meaningful bills that identify the issue and then move us forward to a solution for those issues. But if we don't identify the issue, we're going to be facing the same issue next week. Somebody complains about it. You must have a meaningful solution after identifying the problem.
Thank you. Patsy, please.
Patsy Brown, Armed Forces Chamber PAC. My question is for both of you. The Nevada State Assembly works alongside of the governor to create laws and draft legislation. So my question is, please provide details regarding your legal background or experience that you have within the legal field.
Ben. Ben, would you please start with that one?
Yes. I've been in real estate and mortgages since '65. I'm a licensed paralegal. I'm a licensed real estate broker. I've got security endorsements, and I've traveled across the world doing financial instruments and back and forth with a mortgage company. I was an active member and manager of the National Mortgage Association, and I think I have a pretty good grasp of what's going on financially and what can be done. I think we're leaving, I'm deviating a little bit, I think we're leaving resources on the table, because I heard a question earlier about housing and so on. And if I could quickly address that the government can work with housing, not against housing, and in uniform to reduce the price of rental. And that's something we could do with a state legislature.
Thank you, Ben. Eva, please. And if you ever need them to repeat their question, just look to me and I will have them do that, okay? Thank you.
Well, first of all, I'm not a lawyer. However, I do work in the education field, and you might wonder, what does it have to do with legal situations? I work at Shark Reef Aquarium at Mandalay Bay. I've been there 15 years. And we have standards that we abide by. We want to be the best aquarium that there can be. And we have rules and regulations. And to me, there are legally things that we can do and that we cannot do. Even though I've never been in a courtroom, tried a case or anything, I do face legal situations every day at work. And I believe it's very important when dealing in the state government. You have to be able to handle that.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, Joaquin.
Thank you. Good morning, Joaquin Perrier with Armed Forces Chamber PAC. My question is for both of you. If elected, how will you use your education and business experience to serve voters?
Eva, we're starting with you.
Well, I've got 3 college degrees, and one of them is in business management. And I believe that we need to have stronger small businesses, at the same time providing opportunities for unions and larger businesses to enhance those operations as well. I would use my experience as a former retail manager and as an educational specialist at Shark Reef Aquarium. I will bring it to the table in a practical way so it can be passed on to the folks of Nevada.
Thank you. Ben?
I'll try to answer that question in a little more roundabout fashion. I think the State Assembly, working with the governor and working with the little cities that we have throughout here, could provide lower cost housing by driving the price out of it. The government should not subsidize it, should make it more efficient. Government should look for efficiencies, not for hiring people to find solutions and so on. If you lower the price of housing's interest rate from 7.5% by making it a 4% bond, municipal bond, tax-free, you'd lower the price of housing by $150, $200 a month. If we reduce some of the requirements legislative, you would lower the price another $150. So we have solutions in hand, and we need to have a better trained workforce. We're at the bottom. We have to find a solution, so we should have a committee that says who's doing what and why are they succeeding and we're failing, and then execute on that so we don't continue to blunder in the same fashion and deprive our children and our workforce of trained people to maintain our city.
Great. Thank you. Mikey?
Thank you both for coming. I'm standing up because they just wiped down the table. The Nevada Department of Veteran Services, which is the state agency that oversees issues relating to veterans in the state, they oversee the two veterans' homes in the north and the south, the cemeteries, as well as providing veteran service officers for filing veterans' claims. Recently, they've come under fire for discrimination. They were, first of all, the home up north, the veterans' home up north was cited 32 times by the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services, as well as an audit was conducted of the home, and it was one of the worst audits that had ever been conducted, according to the treasurer. Additionally, the department has been racked with complaints about discrimination. Initially, it was ignored until folks went to the media, and now, as a result, they fired the director and they've done some replacements. But these folks were dealing with this for well over 2 years, and people ignored them. If you're elected to the assembly, you're expected to hold the executive branch accountable, not just for this, but for anything. You're the people's branch of government. What are you going to do as a legislator to hold the executive branch accountable for misconduct, fraud, waste, abuse? What are you going to do?
Ben, you're the first, please.
Well, I think we have some history in that, and one of the bits of history I would look at is around 2010, 2011, we had a mortgage burned down, and the economy was almost destroyed. So the federal government stepped in via the attorney generals, our attorney general and the attorney generals of 13 other states, and brought legislation forward that addressed the housing issue. I think our attorney generals, through the state legislature, through the governor's office, can provide meaningful lawsuits against the federal government for specific performance on their duties to veterans. I'm a disabled veteran. I've been very pleased with and lucky. But by the same token, I think we have oversight, even though we're on the state level, through our attorney general's office and for our attorney general suing the federal government for specific performance.
Great. Eva?
I'm a proud veteran, and I'm proud of every other veteran that has served in our country. And I'm very appalled the way veterans are treated in our state. Either the homelessness or the mistreatment in homes or even for benefits, disabled veterans. We have got to step up and help our veterans. So I would make sure the executive branch is on notice. Treat the veterans better, because without veterans, we would not have the United States of America. Period. Take care of veterans.
Thank you, Eva. Michael?
Hi, Michael McDonald, Veterans of Politics and Committee for Family and Criminal Law Reform. So thank you for being here. I have a question about, as being members of the legislature, you have a profound effect on various laws that affect Nevada and its citizens. We have a lot of issues that affect the citizens of Nevada and Las Vegas, and I ask you, what bill draft request would you support or propose legislation would you put in for family and criminal law reform? we have a lot of people that are getting mass incarcerated or being affected despotically through our criminal justice system and our family courts. What legislation would you help to enact to affect that?
Eva, you want to start with that, please?
I like this question because there is a lot of not quite equal treatment of everybody in the justice system. All laws should apply to everyone, no matter who they are, what they look like, where they're from, it doesn't matter. And I would make sure that there's legislation that would ensure there would be no racial bias or income bias or gender bias against anybody that is facing some type of charges. Everybody's the same under the law. Treat everybody the same, no matter who they are, and do it the right, fair way.
Thank you. Ben?
Thank you for the question. I think I've been a paralegal for many years. My background is basically working in court with guardianships and trust work, so I see this a lot with different families, particularly the handicapped. And there seems to be out of sight, out of mind, and not accountability. There is nobody is accountable. Now, fortunately, in the guardianship court, there is a substantial amount of guardianship oversight. Now, that same oversight was transferred to families with children, trying to keep families together, trying to use our resources not to separate, but to keep people around and try to find a unity so they could keep their family group together is more important than anything I can think of. That's one of the reasons why I go to the state legislature is a couple of bills I have in mind that would change some of the laws that are currently written that I think disfavor certain people, and that would be my main reason for being elected for the assembly.
Thank you. Martin, sorry. I just wanted to make sure nobody else was back there. Okay, Martin.
All right, thank you, and good day to you. Thank you for being with us today. I'm Martin Walker, Veterans in Politics International. My question to you is, prior to your run for office, can you tell us about your level of involvement previously in the legislative process? What is your understanding of the legislative process here? And what I mean by that, have you testified at Grant Sawyer for any issue? Have you written letters? Have you been an advocate for any issue that you wanted to champion? Can you give us an understanding of what have you done prior to your run now to give back to the community from a legislative perspective?
Great. Let's start with Ben, please.
That's a very good question. I have been in dispute with the Vital Statistics Public Health Department in the state of Nevada for the last 3 or 4 years under FOIA Information Act. So I've tried to make it a level playing field. I've tried to go through other legislatures and advise them to review the 2011 probate statute for independent administration, which is abusive to families and to people. And we looked at certain bits using the FOIA to get information to create a policy to go back forward to our constituents, not to the people running in the assembly. And that's why I've started to run in the assembly, because I think I'd like to look at some of these laws, review them, and see if they could be more equitable and they'll be less punitive. And the government many times has an overreach. I'd like to reduce the government's overreach and give it back to the people and let them make the decisions instead of the government making the decisions for them on every matter through sometimes draconian laws and not having the ability to get back at those laws or change them.
Thank you. Eva?
I've been involved in 3 situations. One was with the Democratic Socialists of America. Last legislative session, I was in on Zoom with them, and I was listening to the bills and how they were progressing. Some of them I agreed with, some of them I didn't, and I was very appreciative to learn how that process worked. I'm also part of the Democratic Education Caucus, and 2 things that we work on are money for public schools. We're not happy about that $380 million going to a baseball stadium. It should have gone to public schools, not to mention the $100 million that went to charter schools. Should have gone to public schools. Plus, there's a petition that I signed supporting adding abortion to our state constitution.
Martin, do you mind if I do a follow-up? Okay. Eva, you mentioned the stadium. Are you against a stadium or are you against taxpayers paying for a stadium?
I like sports,
Okay.
and I go to UNLV games. I can't afford Raider games. But I would go to an Oakland A's baseball game. My beef is this. Nevada is 46th, or maybe even worse, in the country in public school education. We're
It's 48.
Okay, we've gotten worse. We're number 48. That means 90% of the students go to public schools. That means 90% of the students are not getting the best education possible. Every bit of taxpayers' money, public money, should go to public schools. I have nothing against charter schools, but you have private organizations that can help fund charter schools. And they can also fund a baseball stadium.
Thank you. Ben, I wanted to also pose that same question to you. How do you feel about the A's stadium?
Well, I spent a number of years in Tucson and Phoenix before I came here 25 years ago. And Tucson and Phoenix have created an environment for people to move in because of sports teams that they've associated with. I think all sports teams are positive for our growth and our economy and for people to have a quality of life here. And I think we make capital investments from that, and we have the money to do so. So it's allocation of money. It is not spending it on a baseball field. We're making a long-term investment for the people of Nevada. Now, as far as education, you're right, we are 48th in education, but it's not because of money. If any one of you guys owned a corporation, I came to visit you, and you said, I'd like you to invest with me, I rank 48th out of 50. I would say, unless you have a plan to change that and tell me how and what it's going to cost, I'm not going to invest with you. That's what we have in education right now. Teachers are underpaid, but the whole system, if you paid them $1 million, teachers in New York are paid substantially more than here, and we still have the problems. So I think we need to have a panel to look at education and make it our highest priority. So when someone was coming into the state and wanting to
Thank
move
you.
here,
Thank you so much. I appreciate your time. I just wanted to follow up on that question because that was something that is really important to take a look at because there are different sides to each. I want to give you all 45 seconds for a closing statement because that was our last. Oh, yeah? Yes.
Andre Haynes has one more question.
Oh, great. Andre, I'm so excited.
We need to make time for that, and then we'll.
Thank you very much. Andre Haynes, Armed Forces Chamber PAC. My question is for you, sir. A few years ago in 2022, the RJ had published an article, and you're probably familiar, saying that former public administrator Rob Tellis accused you as posing as a county employee, and then the district attorney sent a cease and desist letter. Can you tell us the outcome of that situation, and has that had, or will that have any impact in you running now for office?
yes, I'd be glad to elaborate on that a little bit. Tellis is a public official, and we know now what has happened to Mr. Tellis, who made the allegations about me. Now, it's kind of silly because I don't work for the government. I work with the government because they handle guardianship cases and sometimes probate cases. He accused me of telling somebody I work for the government. I can tell you there's a lot of things you can accuse me of, and none of them are working for the federal or state government. So he made that accusation. The Attorney General, the state, gave me a cease and desist order. I responded to that I'm not going to cease and desist and not going to recognize that because that party that made the allegation, that group, is under investigation with the FBI right now, and I can't go into more details than that, but I have had no blowback from that. I still have my broker's license, I still have everything else, and I dare them to come back and make a charge that they can substantiate. You know, you can sue a hot dog in the state of Nevada and every place, but it should have some merit to it. And since the results are nothing's happened, then that's probably the results.
Thank you so much. Who knew you could sue a hot dog, but I'm going to try it. Okay. I hope that those were the last questions because now it's time for the candidates to give us their closing statements. Did I start with Eva? I don't even remember. So I'm going to start with you, Ben. Why don't you give us your closing statement? You have 45 seconds, and then we'll go to Eva. Thank you.
As I said earlier, my name is Ben Donlon. I'm 75 years old. I still put in a 60-hour work week, and I challenge the government every chance I get. Not because I'm a pain in the ass. I challenge them because sometimes people have to be accountable for their actions or lack of those actions. I look at the state and how endowed we are. I have a little hobby called geothermal, and I read up on it, and I go to commissions. I've gone to the Carson City. I've visited the plants and so on. We could be independent for energy and a net export of energy using geothermal and create high-paying jobs. We have the resources here, and there are green resources where they're not hydrocarbon-based. All a geothermal plant does is produce hot water like a nuclear reactor and spins a turbine. We are underusing an asset that we could be creating jobs for building and maintaining these. And one quick aside is that I was at a union meeting the other day, and they asked me about right to work. And I said, why don't you talk about right to work? Why don't you talk about residual? If the iron man or the electrician is building that plant, he or the union should have a residual of that plant as long as the plant is open, not just the salary.
Thank you. Thank you. Eva, please.
I am Eva Olivia Chase, and I have mentioned I am a candidate for District 16. One of the first things I would do when I get to the State Assembly is I would push to expand abortion in our state. The Arizona Supreme Court they upheld this crazy law from 1864. Now we've got a lot of folks from Arizona come on over here trying to get abortions that are sometimes necessary. But women's health care would be number one priority with me. Codifying abortion into our Constitution. It isn't there. It can be taken away through legislative action. And the second thing I would do is to make sure that veterans are getting a fair shake. I'm tired of veterans not getting the treatment they deserve after serving our country.
Thank you. And I want to apologize. I called you Ava and you're Eva, and names are important to me. When you have the last name Guzman, names are important to me. So I just wanted to apologize to you. So this is the end of our interview. I want to thank our sponsors, DB Cajun's Chicken, Stephanie Phillips, U.S. Senate candidate, Ava Bravo, Las Vegas Justice of the Peace Department 2 candidate, Heather Caligari Fleming, Esquire, Levy Schultz, U.S. Congress District 4 candidate, Christian Bishop, Nevada State Senate District candidate. This includes our endorsement interview, and I want to thank you. We do take a picture outside at the end. So thank you and have a great day.